Good morning, Brenden Purdy here. Full edition of SportsCenter up at 11 a.m. A few of the stories that we're working on for you this morning. Leafs beat the Boston Bruins. They force a Game 7. The Toronto Raptors also have a big game on Wednesday as well, Game 5, where they host the Washington Wizards here at the ACC at home. And the Columbus Blue Jackets, their season is done. Washington Capitals moving on to the second round. All this and more on the full edition at 11 a.m. Positive heading into Game 2 for the Golden Knights. Fleury hasn't lost back-to-back games since mid-March, 2 months ago. Game 2 from the whiteout in the Peg. Jets looking to take a commanding 2-0 series lead. 30 seconds in, Winnipeg on the attack. Mark Scheifele sends one 5-hole, gets through Marc-Andre Fleury, the flower, but somehow it stays out. That's the friendly help of defenseman Nate Schmidt. What a play. Now, midway through the first, Vegas pressing. Thomas Tatar stopped, but if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. Tatar does just that, tucking home his first of the postseason, 1-0 Vegas. Despite the record-setting regular season, the Toronto Raptors still collapsed in the second round, being swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Their playoff results have left the fans of the city clamoring for changes to be made. Now, whether they come in the front office or on the court remains to be seen. One thing is for certain, head coach Dwayne Casey is certainly on the hot seat and could very well be fired this offseason. Casey is the heavily favored Coach of the Year and will become just the second coach in NBA history to win Coach of the Year and be fired in the same season. From the BioSteel Center in Toronto, Brenden Purdy, CSM. Early on, LeBron driving it in with authority at the other end. Lowry driving past LeBron and gets the tough bucket to go. His backcourt mate DeMar DeRozan getting in on the action. He'll catch the hoop and the harm. Thanks, guys. We're just minutes away from kickoff here between Toronto FC and the Seattle Sounders, who last met in last year's MLS Cup, which Toronto won 2-0. Now, FC will be without star player Josie Altidore tonight. He is out for 4 weeks with a foot injury. However, they still have Sebastian Giovinco. Giovinco off to a great start this MLS season. He's got a goal and 4 points in just 5 games. But for now, we'll head back up to the booth and kick off. Despite making 4 straight trips to the postseason, the Toronto Raptors and coach Dwayne Casey knew that something needed to change this year. In a league based on the adapt or die philosophy, the Raps have done just that. Andre Palat coming off a 2-point game in Game 2 and gets started early in this one. Less than 2 minutes in, there's the aforementioned Palat. Matt Grzelcyk playing button. Who's got the button? Palat popping that button in the back of the net for the early 1-0 lead. But would he be done there? Nah. Look at that tip in. Great hand-eye coordination puts the Lightning up by 2 less than 5 minutes into the contest. Through the first 17 games of the season, Mitch Marner put up a pedestrian 8 points and saw himself relegated to the 4th line. Since that time, he's quietly put up superstar-like numbers, 59 points in 60 games played. From the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Brenden Purdy, CSM. Canada's Wrestling Elite Tour kicked off on the 31st of July and runs until August 20th, covering 4 Canadian provinces and over 6,900 kilometers in just 21 days. It's tough to top that Bobby Bond moment in Toronto playoff history. But this Wednesday, we've got an opportunity to see some pretty interesting scenarios play out. Of course, the Raptors at home for Game 5, the Leafs in Boston for Game 7. That party down at Maple Leaf Square is going to be ridiculous.
That's going to be nuts.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Michael Reeve. Now, coming up on CSM Sports Center, we get you checked and locked in with the best plays that the 2018 playoffs have to offer. Please stay with us. Being cut wasn't the only obstacle that Moon faced this season. He also missed out on his opportunity to impress NLL personnel when he was forced to withdraw from the draft combine due to the return of a nagging hernia injury. James Paxton made Major League Baseball history tonight, becoming the first Canadian to toss a no-hitter on Canadian soil. Paxton is now the second Canadian to ever toss a no-no in Major League history, following Dick Fowler's performance in 1945 with the Philadelphia A's.